Hi guys, it's G here at One Man Stands Audio. So I'm sitting here at my desk in my humble little office, studio, game room. It's where the magic happens. And I'm about to track vocals for another cover that I'm working on with my friend Kyle, who is the former guitarist in my former band, the Lufthansa Heist. And something just popped into my head. I'm sitting thinking, myself and Kyle are working on original material, our own material, based on ideas that I've had in my head, and I have actually recorded riffs. Some of them have rough structures, some of them have still to be developed further. Lyrics will dictate the end structure of whatever song. But the thing that occurred to me when I was about to record these vocals was, I wonder if people are sitting thinking, why does he do so many covers? And why does he try to do them as close to the originals instead of doing an interpretive version, doing my own take on the cover? There is method in my madness here. It's this. So I changed the name of my channel from One Man Stands, which was the name of my solo project. It was just myself, hence One Man Stands. Plus, One Man Stands is also the name of a track made by my favourite band of all time, on par with Igor, but they have always been an all-time favourite band of mine, Anthrax. So that's where One Man Stands come from. Sidetrack there, ADD brain. The reason I try to do the mixes as close to the originals, and the reason I changed to 1MS, One Man Stands Audio, is because I am trying to teach myself and learn from others based on their content on YouTube, Twitch, whatever. I'm trying to teach myself and learn from others how to mix and master music, whether that be metal, electronic, which is something that I do enjoy. I've always been into electronic music. I grew up listening to Jean-Michel Jarre. My mother is a big fan of Kraftwerk, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, stuff like that, along with Jean-Michel Jarre as well. So I've always liked electronic music, which evolved into a love of guys like the Chemical Brothers, the Prodigy. Love the Prodigy. Go look at my Prodigy covers on the channel as well. So I'm trying to learn how to mix and master not just metal. Metal has been and always will be one of my greatest loves, along with punk music and electronic. They're my strongest loves. I did play and loved playing in a blues band for many years, 19 years, 16. I was playing in a blues cover band as well as being in a punk band at the exact same time. So I love blues just as much as those other three main genres, but the reason I'm trying to learn mixing and mastering as well as applying it to my own material, I want to do it for other people as well, which is another reason that I changed my name from One Man Stands on this channel and on other platforms as well to 1MS Audio, and I have actually laid the groundwork for this being a potential career move. I have started a portfolio of some of my favourite mixes that I've done for myself, because I've only mixed for myself so far, but I am hoping to do it for other people as well. There's a video, if you go look in the channel, you will see a video where I am offering to do mixes for artists, bands, whatever, for free for a limited time. The reason I'm doing that is to build my portfolio. So I'm trying to teach myself mixing and mastering music as well, as I said, for a potential career move. Now, going back to why covers predominantly on my channel, why is it always covers? Why is it not original material? I did do my own original material, I want to say about 2-3 years ago, and even as recently as last year through Ola England's channel. He used to do, and I wish he would bring it back actually, because I used to love watching his Sunday with Ola riff challenges. So I took part in, I think, about 6 or 7, and he actually, featured a lot of various instrumentalists on the channel, and I was really lucky and privileged to be featured as one of them a few times, where he was reviewing some of the entries.
Who do I have here? Big G. One man stand. Woo.
So I have done my own material based on Ola's Sunday with Ola riff challenges, where he would provide drums and that was it. You had to create a riff or a set of riffs. It was usually about anything from about 1 minute to 2 minutes long. It was really good because it challenged you to come up with different riffs, vary them, and flesh them out into an almost fully developed track, and maybe even use that as the basis for something bigger, you know, more fleshed out with lyrics, etc., somewhere down the line. And my good friend Lee, the Evil Wizard, he has his own channel as well here on YouTube, as well as doing the same thing as well. He's doing mixing and mastering for other folk as well, so he has his own audio channel and website as well. But he done a few riff challenges as well, and I done one for him last year. So I have done original material, as well as doing an electronic album, which I released, I believe, back in 2022, 2021, 2022, I want to say. It was an electronic album. Originally, I was messing around with keys, trying to come up with really layered sounds that I was going to apply to metal tracks. That was the whole basis of doing it. I was trying to write a metal album, or what would become a metal album somewhere down the line. It started off, as I said, just ideas on keyboards, just me messing around, experimenting with different sounds, choosing the ones that I liked the best of, and I realised I was having so much fun doing keys that it ended up being all keyboard stuff. So it became an electronic album. As I said, I grew up with electronic music going as far back to the very early 80s. I was born in 76, so I've a lot of various genres that I grew up listening to and loving in that time. So yeah, the reason I do so many covers though is through trying to learn mixing and mastering. I had this idea that if I choose some of my favourite songs and try to do them as faithfully to the originals as I could possibly do based on my own voice, you know, because I'm not going to be able to sound, say for talking sakes, I'd done an Audio Slave track. I'm no Chris Cornell. There's nobody that is going to be remotely as good as Chris Cornell, except for Chris Cornell, God rest him. There's people that come very close, and the instrumentation, I try and get that as close to and as faithfully to the original as I possibly can. And that also goes for the mix and the master. The reason for that though, the reason for so many covers and trying to do it as close to the original as I possibly can, including the mix, is in doing that, I'm learning first and foremost how to get that sound, how to recreate that sound that these guys originally used. Also the production techniques that were originally used on those tracks. And I'm also learning what not to do, throwing a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of plugins, a whole lot of effects, and learning that's too overwhelming in the mix or whatever. Basically making lots of mistakes, lots of creative choices that you think are good at the time, and then you maybe come back later on, maybe the next day, listen to it again, and you think, oh God, that's awful. Learning from that mistake and moving on. Learning where you went wrong, remedying that problem, and in doing so, you learn what to do in the future if you want to recreate a certain sound for your own mixes or for other people potentially down the line. So that's why I do so many covers here on this channel, and why I'm not doing interpretive covers. You know, I'm not doing my own versions, although some of them end up sounding like that because my voice is completely different to the original artist. There's been one or two occasions where I've came kind of close to the original artist's voices, but I'm never going to be that person. I don't have their vocal cords, so in that respect, it's interpretive, but the overall cover version is as close to the original as I can possibly get for that reason. I'm trying to learn the techniques that were used by the artists playing them. So I'm trying to learn the techniques they used to play the songs, as well as how they were recorded, the techniques used in the recording process, and the techniques used in the mixing process as well, and the mastering process, so that I learn from my mistakes, I learn where it went right or where it went wrong, and how I made it right or thought I made it right at the time, because I'll maybe think that something sounds, that's it, and I'll come back to it like months down the line and I'll go, it could have been so much better. But that's the whole point of why I do it like that, because I'm trying to learn how to do it as good as I can at the time with the resources and the ability that I have right now. Coming back maybe later on and realising, okay, I know this now because I made that mistake back then. Here's how I can change that for future mixes and improve on it. So this is why I do so many covers on this channel. Personally, it's a really, really good way of learning the techniques used by not just the engineers and producers on those tracks and albums maybe, but also the artists themselves, you know, how it was played, how it was originally sang, the little vocal inflections that these guys use maybe on their performances. These are all things that I learn from when I'm doing these covers. I've listened to the majority of these tracks that I've covered, I've listened to countless times, and that's why I chose them, because I'm confident enough that I know the song well enough that I'll be able to do a more or less faithful version, and in doing that I'll learn the mixing and mastering techniques as well as the performance techniques and recording techniques, as well as going on to channels like Spectre Sound Studios, Glenn Fricker, Scott Elliott at Chernobyl Audio, who I'm really lucky and privileged. He'll hate that I said this, but I am genuinely lucky and privileged to be able to call Scott a friend now through Lee the Evil Wizard. And Scott's been fantastic help. Before I actually knew him as a friend, I watched his channel for quite a few years before I even met him in video, talking face to face. He was still a great help in what he teaches on his channel, same with Glenn. And another one, Andrew Barr, who I've only recently in the past year found, but his videos as well are really instructive, as well as Glenn and Scott. These guys are really good at cutting through the overwhelming optional overload, as I think Glenn and Scott call it, where you have all these plugins, techniques, tones. It's ways of cutting through all that optional overload to get to the main focus, which is getting it done the most efficient way you can and getting it out there. They'll also tell you a mix is never perfect. It's done. It's just finished. In other words, do it to the best of your ability with the resources and abilities that you have. Do it. Just get it done. However you need to get it done, just do it. It sounds so easy that way, so simple when it's said to you that way, but it is true. Don't waste time with the minutiae of, I could use this plugin to do this because it's got a great preset here. Use the stuff that you have learned to use confidently and use the methods that you know well enough to get the job done as soon as you can get it done. Don't spend lots of time wasting time on tones. Get a tone that sounds really good, just get it done. Get a mix that sounds good and get it done. Get to that end point and get it out. So these guys have been really good at doing that. Oh, and Bobby Torres as well at Frightbox Recording. I should have mentioned him. Bobby is also fantastic. His tutorials are some of the best out there on YouTube, and he also does his own course, which I took part in for a while and learned a lot from. They're good at teaching. Use what you have, what you're good at using, and get the job done. You don't need all these adverts you're seeing on YouTube, throwing all these options constantly, saying this will make your mixes so much better, this will make your mixes so much better. Yeah, it might, but it's a one-off thing. If you don't understand the fundamentals there, that's going to do nothing. You're not going to understand why it's making it sound better. You need to know how it's going to make it sound better before you actually just throw something at a mix. You know, some random plugin because you saw it in an advert. That's what these guys are really good at teaching. What I've learned from their channel is also what I've learned from doing all these covers. I think that doing covers, as well as learning from these 4 guys that I just mentioned, as well as, you know, all the many other guys that do tutorials showing you some of the same basics that you need to get a grip on before you can go and get this huge spatial and layered mix. You need to understand all the stuff at the bottom, and I'm not even anywhere near that yet. I'm not even anywhere near this huge mix that has lots of impact. I'm still learning. I will forever be learning. That's the point. I will forever be learning different techniques down the road. This is why I'll keep going back to previous mixes and going, at the time I thought that was really good and I was really happy with it, but listening to it now, I could have done so much better. But at least I finished it and I put it out there. It was done. Doing covers, as well as learning from these guys and the likes of these guys, doing the covers I feel is a great way of faithful covers, I'll say, not interpretive. Doing faithful, well, maybe doing interpretive as well, because you're still learning techniques that you've maybe learned and putting it to good use. But doing faithful, or as close to faithful recreations of these songs, I find is a really good way of learning the techniques by all the guys involved and how to learn from it and put it to good use somewhere down the line on your own mixes and for other people. So I hope that that's made some sort of sense. It was just a random thought that I had in my head as I'm about to sit here and track vocals for the latest cover. It's one of these random thoughts that popped into my head, and I thought, oh, I'll need to go and explain this. So I hope it made sense, and go check out some of the covers. I'm extremely proud of them, whether they sound great or not. They sounded good enough to me at the time, and that's the point. Get it done as good as you can at that time, and just get it out there. Learn from it and improve on it in future. So I hope it made sense, and I'll see you all guys again in the next one. Have a good one.